Like all large predators, bobcats were historically persecuted as vermin, but today they're considered a valuable part of our natural heritage, and bobcat sightings are a rare treat. The last survivor of the 3 wildcat species that once roamed Vermont, bobcats are shy, secretive hunters with special habitat needs that are not well understood. Biologists worry that human development is fragmenting important bobcat habitats, and to get a better understanding of these mysterious animals, a unique study using GPS technology was launched in Vermont's Champlain Valley. Bobcats have the widest distribution of any wild feline, but in Vermont they are at the northern extent of their range and are a species of concern. Unlike Vermont's other native wildcats, mountain lions and lynx, bobcats still have a viable breeding population in the state. Yet surprisingly little is known about the habitat needs of these secretive predators and how they are being impacted by our growing human population.
We want to evaluate bobcat habitat selection and see where they want to be, where they need to be, what are some of the key components into their habitat. There's been an assumption for a few years or longer than that bobcat need ledge habitat, and there really hasn't been any real strong evidence or data collected on that as far as a scientific study at this point.
To answer these and other questions, the Vermont Cooperative Fish and Wildlife Research Unit received a federal grant to study bobcats. Field work for the 3-year project began in 2005 under the direction of University of Vermont graduate student Mark Freeman.
The other component is we're looking at movement patterns of bobcats, and we want to see how they move in relation to roadways like I-89 or Route 2 around some of the study area, and see if that's affecting their movement patterns.
The project required that researchers use a variety of traditional trapping techniques to capture several bobcats in the Champlain Valley study area. Captured cats would be fitted with a GPS collar that uses satellite technology to track their movements over a 4-month period.
Some fresh slime. For the most part, we're using padded leg hold traps, or number 3 Victor soft catches. They have a rubber padding that goes between. The jaws are considered offset. The metal jaws never actually meet, and there's that padding in between that'll actually grip the toes and hold on to them. So we're using those. We're also using cage traps. They're large size Havaharts for the most part that are big enough to catch a bobcat.
And these traps were developed as part of the best management practices studies on how to improve trapping?
Right, they were recommended by the state as the best trap that came out of the BMP to avoid injury and use in these types of studies.
And basically this animal puts its foot down,
yep,
bang, can't get out.
No. How'd that feel?
Well, I mean, I've been hurt worse by a mousetrap, to tell you the truth. You know, I mean, it's not that traumatic.
You feel the pressure, but it doesn't hurt you, and you don't walk away. You know, and it certainly held your hand in there.
It's secure.
Yeah.
Cats are curious animals. The more conspicuous the trap set area is, the better. Tin cans, feathers, and other visual attractants are used to grab the attention of passing bobcats. Smelly concoctions developed by old-time Vermont trappers are used as scent lures to attract bobcats from a distance.
Bobcats are generalists, and they have a wide range of prey species. They'll eat anything from a mouse or a vole to rabbits or hare, turkey. A bobcat, which ranges in size from 20 to 30 pounds most time, can actually take down a white-tailed deer, and in a case like that, they will cache the animal and return to it. And that one deer could make for quite a few meals for a bobcat or a female with kittens.
Bobcats are strict carnivores, and they live largely solitary lives. They are also crepuscular, meaning they are most active at dawn and dusk. Once thought of as strictly a deep woods animal, bobcats are increasingly found on the outskirts of developed areas where preferred prey species like rabbits and squirrels are more abundant. This video was taken in the Middlebury Industrial Park by local resident Peter Funk. For several days, the Big Tom fed on a deer carcass that was only a quarter mile from heavily trafficked Route 7 in an area where Funk has seen several bobcats.
We get a lot of information from our hunters and trappers. In fact, it was the hunters and trappers that have told us for years that some of the habitat that we're studying right now, things like steep ledgy areas, wetlands, crossings, are critical to the survival of the bobcat population, and it's one of the reasons why we've started this study, was to verify some of these thoughts that they provided us.
In Vermont, bobcats are classified as a fur-bearing animal, and a few dozen are harvested each year during carefully regulated hunting and trapping seasons. But it wasn't that long ago that these animals were considered vermin and were killed for cash bounties. State records show that from 150 to as many as 500 bobcats were taken each year in the early 1900s.
Public attitudes have changed drastically since the late 1700s on all predators, and bobcat was one of the species that had a bounty along with wolves and mountain lions and foxes. Public attitudes in the 60s and 70s began to change, and interestingly, bobcat was the last mammal to be bountied, and the bounty was removed in 1971, and we actually started to manage bobcats through hunting seasons and trapping seasons.